legitimate heroes. They're all heroic in the eyes of their fellow citizens. And as a consequence, they are well remembered. Okay? I mean, here we are 200 years later, everybody knows Samuel McCulloch and Betty Zane, but as I said last week, Wheeling's most important contribution in terms of a human being to the world and to the United States is Walter Reuther. I don't know Walter Reuther, but man, I know Samuel McCulloch and I know Betty Zane, and I know what they did. And what they did is really not that important. Okay? 1782. By 1795, almost the entire Indian threat of attack in this area is gone. In fact, the last recorded death by an Indian attack in this area is 1795. What happens is that this movement of civilization, remember the war, the peace treaty with Great Britain is signed in the following year, 1783. So this is now the United States of America. There is no longer any proclamation line as there was in 1763 that keeps Europeans back. They're all moving west. And we start moving into Ohio. And we move into Ohio so quickly that Ohio will become a state by 1803. You can't become a state until you have 60,000 people. In 1782, when they're attacking Fort Henry, there's almost no whites living in Ohio. 21 years later, Ohio becomes the 17th state in the Union. 40 years after that, Ohio is the 4th largest state in the Union in terms of population. Okay? So you push the Indians back. In mid-1790s, you have what's called the Battle of Fallen Timbers in western Ohio. And what that battle does is it cleans out all the Indians from this area. Okay? About 20 years later, you have another Indian war that terminates with the Battle of Tippecanoe Creek with William Henry Harrison. He's the Tippecanoe of Tippecanoe and Title II. That's 1811. In the 1830s, we're having what's called the Black Hawk War, which Lincoln fights in. And by the end of that, by the middle of the 1830s, the Indians, in effect, are pushed all the way across the Mississippi River. So let's say that's 1837. So that's done within a period of what? 55 years. How long did it take us to get from Jamestown to here? 162. You know, there is in American history what's called manifest destiny. That destiny for the United States is ever multiplying millions to move west. And we did. And within 18 years of the Black Hawk War, California's a state. We have all of the Southwest, what's now New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and all those states. We have almost everything as part of the United States by 1848, except a little thing down in southern Arizona called the Gadsden Purchase. We move quickly. And there are thousands of people in the West Coast by the 1850s. So what's that mean? It means that Wheeling is no longer going to be an outpost. They're going to put the fort someplace else. You're going to have Fort Laramie. You're going to have Bent's Fort. You're going to have Fort Dodge. You're going to have, they're all moving west. The frontier moves west. It's an ever-moving line. And the difference is that line sometimes moves faster than it others. And once it starts accelerating in the beginning of the 18th century, 19th century, it really moves. And that's where Wheeling has its advantage. Because the country is moving west. All of the states that enter the Union after 1800, states like Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Missouri, are all west of here. And they all need things. okay? And we're going to provide for it. And by that time, we're going to have some advantages, but I can't tell you what those advantages are tonight. You have to return next week. Same time, same Javersak station, for how transportation, and it will have a remarkable change. And what it will do is it will set up wheeling from 1830 to 1930, 100 years of expansion. And we become the gateway to the West. And here's the word for it. Entrepot. E-N-T-R-E-P-O-T. We go from outpost to entrepot. And next week, if you're here next week, you will be asked the definition of entrepot. Now, you're safe because from here to next week, hell, I'm not going to remember. You know, a mind's a terrible thing to lose. Half a mind is gone. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.